Hey everybody, it's me, Rick Acosta, the Dodger Card Collector, coming to you with another video. Today is Friday, May 5th. Happy Cinco de Mayo to all of you who celebrate. I thought I'd do something I've never done before. I'm actually going to show you one of my complete sets. So today I'm going to show you my 1953 top set, and we're going to go through the pages, and then we'll go through the set. And after that, I will show you some of my graded cards from that set. So let's just go ahead and get started. Here's the binder that I have for this. I bought this from a gentleman on Facebook. He was making these binders with these covers for every set. And unfortunately, this gentleman has passed away, but they're not cheap, but they're nice looking sets, or they're nice looking binder covers, so to speak, for your notebooks. So let's make sure I've got this placed properly for the camera. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, so here's one thing I always do at the beginning of every set, at the end of every set. I put in an extra page, just one of those, instead of 8 pockets, it's a 1 pocket sleeve. So I just do that just to cover up, keep the elements away from the cards, I guess. So here's the beginning of the set, and there are some cards I'm going to point out to you just so you know I'm not trying to pull a fast one on you. And the first one I'm going to explain to you in a moment is Jackie Robinson. But here you see cards 1 through 8. And if you say, God, the Robinson looks funny, well, yeah, it should. Because when I turn it over, oh, you're not going to see that. So let me turn it over. That's the card right there. This is a photocopy. So what I do when I have a graded card, I'm a little bit detailed, so I want to see all the cards in my binders. So what I do is I make a photocopy of the card, and I make a photocopy. Cut it to make it look like a card. Actually, this photocopy is on top of a junk wax card, believe it or not. I taped it onto a junk wax card using double-sided tape. And then I turn it into this, where I just cut off the PSA part when I do the copy, the PSA grade, and I just slip it in the back there. I tape it on. And that's just how I show off. This gives me the right, or the ability, to show off all the cards. And like I said, I'll show you my graded cards at the end, but that's Jackie Robinson. Now, one of the things about the 53 set was that, and I pulled this off the PSA set registry, a really great article from Peter Putman. He wrote this, so I'm taking my notes off of his article from November of 2007. After the 1952 Topps Iconic set was released, Topps was already planning their follow-up act, and this was going to be a large set, full color baseball cards for 1953, and these were featuring individual oil paintings that were commissioned by Jerry Dvorak of New Jersey. So he did a good chunk. I don't know if he did the artwork for all the cards, but I do know he did them for lots of cards. Dvorak, he worked at Paramount Studios, and some of you might know him more. He was instrumental in the success of the Popeye and the Casper the Friendly Ghost cartoons, amongst other things. I think he also might have done some work on Felix the Cat, and I found some artwork of him doing Bugs Bunny, of all characters. So as we go through here, Roy Campanella, that's another card I have photocopied. The 1953 set is much smaller than the previous year. You've all heard the famous story, the unsold inventory on the candy store shelves late in the summer and early fall in 1952. I believe a bunch of the 1952 cards ended up in the Hudson River or the East River, because usually kids' thoughts turn to football. So as a result, Topps scaled back to 280 cards for 1953. That was almost a third fewer than the year before. This is the first year of the Milwaukee Braves, but when you see Eddie Mathews here, and this is a photocopy, by the way, Eddie Matthews is on the Boston Braves. As we skip through these and go to the next series, I think series 2, they are now known as the Milwaukee Braves. And this is also the final year of the St. Louis Browns. The next year they'd become the Baltimore Orioles. There's Enos Slaughter. Now, each portrait features a single or a solid color border below it with the player's name, position, and team, such as Chuck Dressen, along with a large team logo. Now, American League players, there's a difference between the American League cards and the National League cards. American League players got a bright red banner, while National League cards, they got a black version. This solid color border is easily damaged as it bleeds right to the edge of each card. So it's not always easy to find really nice versions of these cards. That's a photocopy of Bob Feller. Trust me, guys, I'll show you at the end what the originals look like. And as we skip through here, we see some players: Cloyd Boyer, Monty Irvin, Early Wynn. This was a fun set to put together. Here's a St. Louis Brown card. I mentioned this was the last year of the Browns before they became the Orioles. And there's Roy Sievers, Orestes Minoso, otherwise known as Mini Minoso. That's his second year card. Del Rice, I remember him as the manager of the Angels in the early 70s for 1 year. Mike Garcia, Pee Wee Reese, that's a photocopy. Red Shandings, back then known as Al Shandings, Johnny Mize. This was a fun set to put together. This was the one set that I've worked on that I did not originally buy a huge lot. Most of my sets, I always buy humongous lots, and then I'm able to start working on the set. In this case, I didn't do that. I had a Dodger team set, and then from there, I started buying cards 1, 2 at a time. I did get lucky one day, and it's just, to me, it's always the stroke of luck. As you see a Mickey Mantle card there that is that's a photocopy, by the way. Billy Martin, Eddie Lopat, Joe Black. One day I got really lucky on eBay. I was on a roll on Sunday. Somebody on eBay was breaking a set of 1953 cards. And I just sat there and said, okay, this is going to be a little bit expensive, but I'm going to put bets, or I'm going to put bids on a bunch of cards, one at a time, try to save on shipping. Let's try to see if we can what we can get done in one day. That day I won 93 different bids on eBay. So that really helped down. That jump started the set, so to speak. Now, let's see. And then I just kept buying, 1, 2, 3 at a time. There's Ted Wilkes, Connie Ryan, Yogi Berra. That's a photocopy. I like to show off the photocopies. Alvin Dark, Hank Sauer. Had he won the MVP by that point, or he won it later in the 50s? Phil Rizzuto. That was one of the higher expensive cards I had to pay for at the time. This set, the 1953 set, has 4 series, card numbers 1 through 85. We are currently looking at the second set, which is our second series, which is 86 through 165. Series 3 is 166 to 220. And the final series is 221 to 280. Now, one of the things that Topps did that they didn't tell people, there are 5 cards each from the first series and the second series that were bumped back. In other words, they didn't get released. Those 10 cards from Series 1 and Series 2, they didn't get released until Series 3. So I imagine that must have caused a little bit of chaos with a bunch of frustrated collectors. From what I've heard, early set collectors would have been thoroughly confused and frustrated by the numbering system, as the 10 cards from Series 1 and 2, they weren't printed with the others and released in a later series. There's also 6 cards missing. There are 6 of them in the 4th series. Card numbers 253, 261, 276, 268, 271, and 275 are all missing. Keith Olbermann eventually, that Keith Olbermann from ESPN, There's the Dick Williams. I think that's the rookie Dick Williams. No, it's not. There was a 52. Keith Olbermann eventually got the 6 names that didn't come, that weren't released. I know one of them was potentially Richie Ashburn. I know Billy Cox, the Dodger third baseman, was in there. And there was some, if you look up online, there's some people who actually did artwork for it. There's the 1953 AL MVP, Al Rosen. And there's Hall of Famer George Kell, Allie Reynolds. I loved working on this set because I got to buy players that I'd only read about in books, like Allie Reynolds and Ed Lopat. Warren Spahn, that's a photocopy. That Hoy Wilhelm, though, is original. My one and only Dominic DiMaggio card. And one of my favorite nicknames, Harry Suitcase Simpson. There's Dick Groat. That might be his rookie. I'm not sure. I'll keep going through. Big Ted Kluszewski. Look at the backgrounds of the artwork. It's just really nice. There's Billy Lowe's of the Dodgers and Don Hoke. I think he later became more famous on the Pirates. But the background and the artwork is really, really nice on these. Gene Hermansky. I remember him from the Dodgers. Let's see. Andy Carey. Dixie Walker. Ralph Kiner. That's a photocopy. What else? Del Crandall. See, now we got the Milwaukee Braves logo up there, as opposed to the Boston logo in the first series. Whitey Ford. Yes, that's a photocopy. Let's see. We keep going along here. Satchel Paige. Satchel Paige. I actually have. The last card I bought. That was the last card I needed to finish the set. I bought it in a PSA 1. It looks like I paid probably $50 to $75 too much, as that card has dropped since the time I bought it. Hal Newhouser is the most expensive raw card I bought for this series. It cost me close to $100. Some of you might ask, why didn't I buy all my Hall of Famers graded? And at one point that was the plan. But then someone like Hal Newhouser came along, or Johnny Mize, early win. I found them much cheaper raw. And I finally got to a point where I just wanted to finish the set. Excuse me. The overall condition of the set is probably VG. So there are no beaters, with the exception of probably the PSA 1s that I own, that I bought because they were just too expensive, even just buying a PSA 2. But so Willie Mays. Willie Mays is a PSA 1. I'll show you the original of that in a moment as we're getting near the end. Willie Mays' card, the back of each card features a dugout quiz. And Willie Mays is featured Lou Gehrig. In the back of his card, talked about Lou Gehrig. I like some of these Pirates cards are really nice. We're in the high numbers at this point. The Pirates have a lot of cards in the high numbers for some reason. And then here's something I started doing when we got to the point. So as I mentioned, there were 6 cards not produced. I would photocopy a wax pack from 1953, card 253 not produced. I tell you, yeah, I get a little too detailed. I just don't like seeing gaps. That's why there's photocopies of PSA cards. That's why I'm accounting for cards that don't exist. Dixie Howell, when I was working on the Dodger team set, this was the expensive card to get. And when I say expensive, we're talking, it was so long ago, it was $30, and $30 was a lot of money when I bought it several years ago. There is a rookie Jim Gilliam. That's a photocopy. Card 261 not produced. Johnny Padres, that's also a rookie. The Gilliam and the Padres are single print cards. I believe Mantle's also single print. There are several single print cards that run fairly a lot of money. Gene Woodling of the Yankees. And then we get 3 cards that weren't produced. Bill Antonello was another expensive card I had to spend. Jackie Jensen. I bought this card and then I realized it had a wrinkle underneath his neck. But I took it anyway. I got it at such a good deal. Bob Kane was a harder one to get. Some of these high numbers were hard to get. They must have been single prints. And it's easy to find a Mantle, a Mays, a Satchel Paige. Yeah, they're expensive. But some of these guys like Bob Kane and Vern Stevens and the last card in this set, those were hard cards to get. We're going to see the last card here in a minute. Milt Bowling of the Red Sox. That was a hard one to get. The Ken Rassenberger was funny because I found, this is a photocopy. I bought a slabbed version. I saw it on eBay and the guy wanted like $30. And I went and looked on the VCP. I wanted to see the VCP price. And I went on VCP and the VCP was like $80. So it was so the card was $30 or best offer. So I had the cheapness of saying, will you take 25? And the guy said, no, it's 30. And I think he knew what was happening. I bought it for, I ended up buying it for 30 right away. And he sent me a message to say, I realized this card, I gave you the wrong price, but I'm going to honor the cost of $30. It's worth a lot more. And I knew that. And I thanked them for it. So I bought the card. Harvey Haddix, that was an expensive one to get. This is his rookie. And I think, honestly, there's something about these old, granted he's on the Cardinals, but some of these Pirate cards, they get really expensive. Even now, I'm working on a 61 Topps All-Star subset, and the Bill Mazeroski, for some reason, is like second to like Mantle and Mays in regards to the cost. So here's the end of the set, $280, and then, like I said, I always put another sheet there at the back, but that's a look at the set. So I'm going to come back to you and show you my graded cards. That way you guys know I'm not trying to fool you with these photocopies that I have here. So, yeah, let me come right back. All right, we'll do these in numerical order, starting off with card number 1, Jackie Robinson. I've mentioned to you in a previous video, this was given to me by my brother. It's a graded, or it was a raw card when I got it. And this was one of the few cards that I have that I've submitted to PSA. Came back a 2, Jackie Robinson. The next card is card number 27, Roy Campanella. My memory of this was actually buying the 1975 Topps MVP cards, the subset. That was my first look at this Campanella. Love the smile on that, total Campion there. And that's a 3.5. I think, no, I don't remember. I can't tell you if I bought this raw or not. But that's my Roy Campanella card. This card, I actually have a good memory of buying this one. I think I spent $35 on this Eddie Matthews card. And this is a second-year card, still has the Boston logo at this point. Boston Braves down here. We got the scoreboard in the background, the outfield wall. Bob Feller. This was one of the last cards I needed to finish this set. I finished this set at the beginning of 2022, worked on it throughout 2020 and 2021. I was surprised. I bought this card 2021, and it cost me a lot of money. It was like $90, and I remember thinking, wow, I spent a lot on that card. It's because some of these cards haven't changed much in value. This one, though, has like gone through the roof since I bought it. So I guess I got a deal on it in a PSA 4. Again, we see the scoreboard in the background. Just the artwork on these is fantastic. What's next? Pee Wee Reese, card number 76. In a PSA 2. I don't know why it's a 2. Somebody write on it? Yeah, we got some wrinkles back up there. And that's Pee Wee Reese. My iconic card, Mickey Mantle. This was, I think you've probably heard this before. I honestly said if I get a 53 Mays and a 53 Mantle, I'm retired from card collecting because I thought these were the iconic cards. These are some of the iconic cards in my collection, but unfortunately I kept collecting after I bought these. I bought this from Huggins and Scott, and I've mentioned this previously. It was the auction finished like a week or two after the National in 2022 or 2021, and I'm assuming everybody was so spent that nobody bothered to buy this card. At the time, the PSA value was $18.50, even with the mark, and I only paid $1,000 for this one. And I had never paid $1,000 for a card up to this point, but the mark is back here. It's always a K. I have several cards with Ks on them, but that's this is my prize. I have several Mickeys. It'll never get as good as this. Everyone says never say never, but I'm not looking for a 52 Topps or a 51 Bowman, so it doesn't get better than that. Yogi Berra. As I mentioned, I consider the collection VG. This one's some of the graded cards are twos. There's a crease down this way, but still it's a good looking Berra. And then from the Boston Braves. So it looks like we still had the Boston Braves in the second series because Warren Spahn is still listed in Boston at this point. And he's got a different cap than Eddie Matthews had. There's no red bill. His uniform looks almost dark blue. But that's Warren Spahn. Ralph Kiner on the Pirates. I think this is the only Ralph Kiner card I have in my collection. I really do. I don't think I have anything else. He's got a good smile there and a PSA 3. Next up, card number 207, Whitey Ford, PSA 3. I think I spent $50 on this. Arguably, like the Mantle, probably my favorite Ford. I just love the artwork on these. This is a great set. A lot of them are headshots, but I'll take it. For me, like I said, this was just an iconic set. Here's Satchel Paige. I mentioned him earlier, the PSA 1. There's a crease here. There's a crease there. There's a crease there. Wrinkles here. I'll take it, though. This was a hard card to find. Maybe if I were a little bit more patient, I would have had a 2 or a 3. But I wanted to finish the set. You get to a point where you just want to finish the set. You want to move on to something else. And so Satchel Paige is the last card I have. Vic Janowicz of the Pirates. Why did I buy this? Because I found a graded card a lot cheaper than I could never find the raw card. I found a graded card, I took it. And that happened with several of the common cards that you're seeing. You might say, why does he have he has a Mantle, he has a Camp, he has a Jackie. Why does he have Vic Janowicz? And it's just because I found them graded and they were cheaper, so I did it. Willie Mays, overpaid a little for this, but I didn't. I'll be honest with you. I still haven't found, this isn't the nicest one. I think it's a nice one. I haven't, since I bought this card, I've been monitoring the other ones, PSA ones that have been sold. This one's nicer. A lot of the ones are beaters. And the PSA 2, and I should add the PA ones that are currently for sale are still more expensive than the one I bought here. And the PSA 2 just costs a lot more. So I picked this up. And here's the dugout quiz where they bring up Lou Gehrig. If I had better eyes, I would read you the question. Something about the Iron Horse. So who's nicknamed the Iron Horse? And the answer is Lou Gehrig. But this is, again, another, for me, in Willie Mays land, it'll never get better than this card. I'm not going to get a 52 Topps. I'm not getting a 51 Bowman. Don't even send me there. Don't even put that in the comments. Sid Hudson, here's a guy again. I found it. It was easier to buy it raw or graded than raw. Topps gum, you see it right there. There's an advertisement for Topps. Jim Gilliam. I'm going to put Gilliam and Padres together just because I already talked about them. These are both rookie cards. These are both single prints. These are cards I've had forever. As I mentioned earlier, I started off working on the Dodger team set years ago, a good 10 years ago. So I've had these cards a while. And these cards are not cheap anymore. When I bought Gilliam was a little pricey when I bought it. Padres I bought raw for like $5, and I submitted it to PSA and I got a 5. So those are those two cards. The previously mentioned Harvey Haddix. Again, here's another card I bought. It was just cheaper to buy it graded than raw. Same thing with the last card, Ken Roethlisberger, card number 276. These guys were just way cheaper to buy them graded. So that is a look. 274 cards. It was a really fun set to work on. I always said I wanted a vintage 50s set. And I want to do the 53 set. The original plan was to do 56. I changed my mind at the last minute just because somebody had made a remark to me about the 56s. It stuck in my head. So I started to work on the 53 set. And then I will say the 53 set is the gold standard in my collection. I don't have a nicer set, or I should say a more iconic set. The value's incredible if we're going to talk about value. Even as most of you know, I'm working on a 1941 play ball set. Even when I finish that set, it won't be as iconic as this set. For me, this is my favorite Topps set, up above and beyond. And that's saying a lot, seeing that 1953 Bowman also released an incredible set at the same time. So if you were a set collector in the 50s, early 50s, 1953 specifically, you had some good choices out there. All right, everybody, there's the 1953 set. Thanks for sticking with me if you did, and have a fabulous weekend. Take care.